my name is Emma.
And we're here to discuss a lot of the new technologies that's happening around campus and honestly worldwide.
Yes, there's been so many technological innovations in this past decade. It's absolutely insane in education and technology, even in the workforce across so many different industries. It's so cool to see and witness in real time.
I know one of the main innovations I've definitely seen has been a lot of the new classes that's been provided at the Mass Comm College for the grad students. Especially more recently, I've taken a VR class and more digital classes. So I actually got the chance to interview Dr. Nicole Stewart about her experiences in VR.
That's so awesome. I love hearing about the VR class with Dr. Nicole Stewart. I've heard that she actually developed that entire class herself as a woman in technology, trying to make it more accessible to people in communication. As two communication professionals who also work in technology, that's so awesome to see.
Yeah, especially because we're getting that opportunity to just be able to indulge in that more advanced type of platforms and situations. I know for sure she had a lot to say inside the interview we did, and it was great. Let's look now.
I think there's a lot of challenges, and I think that when people see it, it looks so fun, it looks so cool, but what they don't realize is how difficult it is to get to a place where you're actually having a class inside VR. Because there's all the technical prep of how do you get people signed into these devices, and how do they get logged into all the apps, and can they figure out how to use it and move around and talk and function. So there's all this stuff we have to do and learn before we can even get to the actual curriculum. Now I think that's great because there is this, like I said, there's this mini curriculum that happens outside of the actual curriculum, which I think is very productive. And then the part that is less in my control is that I can't control how people's bodies or physiological responses are going to be to VR. And so one of the things is some people get ultra nauseous. I had one student in the past who I had to put on a desktop because they just could not even put their head inside of a VR headset without getting really sick. Now that doesn't usually happen, but there's all these other physical ailments, and it's, that can be challenging. And then the one concern that I have about VR when I'm teaching or about to teach a VR class is accessibility, because I recognize that there are certain accessibility needs that I can meet and certain ones that are really, really challenging. So sight is obviously one that is very important and one that is, you can't really work around that. There's other ones that are less important. I've had people who can't hear as well, or have hearing aids, or have no hearing. And they actually have told me that it was more fun to have class inside VR because their senses really picked up everything else. So even though they couldn't hear well, they were able to kind of follow along and understand. And because we can have those slide decks up there, they didn't miss out on the lecture in any way, shape, or form. And on certain ones, if I'm playing a YouTube video, I can put subtitles on. So it's not impossible to do some of these things. People with physical accessibility needs, usually I just encourage them to sit down or find comfortable placements, take off the headset when they need to. But these are kind of the challenges that are in every classroom, and that's an impossible one.
That interview with Dr. Nicole was so innovative. She truly had a lot to say.
She really does, especially the way she's innovated the entire space and what we're now learning, especially women having that type of platform is really important to me. The big thing also that they've really pointed out is that we get a lot more hands-on experience in the classroom now. Our other professor, and I've actually spoken to him face to face, is Professor John Smickley, and he is super different, super out there, teaching more of the 360 video aspect. And I know for me, I'm one of the only women in that class. It's really helped open my eyes to what you could possibly use that for in the future. And I think it's really changing the landscape and how we're going to be approaching these more innovative technologies beyond 2024 and beyond 2025, 10, 15 years down the line.
Hi! Emma and I were actually able to catch up with Dr. Cindy Royal about her experiences learning to new technology, teaching new technology, and just new technology in general. And we wanted to share that with you. So let's check it out.
It's definitely challenging to keep up with technology trends. They're always changing, as you all know. It's always changing. Some of the topics can be very complex, and there are not often easy ways to learn new skills and techniques. But the first thing I think that somebody needs to do if they're interested in this is just pay attention, because knowing what's going on and being able to assess what you need to know, what you need to learn, and then what's maybe going to be the fad that passes by is kind of a skill that you need to internalize. I think too, as I've worked in an academic environment and as the digital media environment got more complex, I had to learn that I couldn't do everything myself. So I had to kind of pick the lanes that I wanted to be in terms of what I was teaching, and then try to find other people who would take the other lanes. And I think you all probably know examples of that in our program, where I focus a lot on coding and working with data. And then other people in the program do things with drones or virtual reality or augmented reality, or moving into AI, which of course is something that I'm interested in now as well. And then the third thing I think is just use whatever techniques at hand that you have to be able to learn these new tools. And if you think about somebody like me, who's been out of even my PhD for 18 years, 2006 I finished, 18, 19 years. And when I got my undergrad, it was a very long time ago and didn't have any of these things. So I had to learn every single thing that I teach on my own. I did not learn any of these things in an official academic program. So you all are going to have to do that yourselves. You are going to have a career of lifelong learning. So identifying the places where you can get that learning and training. Usually for me, it's starting with a project of some sort. I want to learn how to do this, or I want to learn this particular technology. And then it may be YouTube videos or LinkedIn Learning or Googling a bunch of stuff. And now more than ever, it's AI asking ChatGPT, what do I need to do to learn this? And I think it opens up a lot of potential for everyone to be able to stay up to date, because the way AI presents answers to these questions is almost like an instructor teaching it to you. So being able to assess when it's giving you good information, I think, is also going to be a skill. But for the most part, I found using AI to help me learn difficult technology concepts to bring into curriculum has been the most useful thing so far.
So let's actually talk about how women are using technology these days in the workforce, and where are women working in technology?
Oh, I know for sure, for me at least, I'm looking into like web design, web programming, UX, UI, all of those types of fields, but also like the more basic computer science fields I know are just open opportunities. Like I know a lot of people are looking into anything relating like cybersecurity and the more intense things like that.
Yes, definitely. I've, from personal interviews with women in technology working in the workforce right now, it really depends on what sector of technology you go into, UX, social media, or maybe cybersecurity, or even into programming and development. Whatever sector you enter will massively depend on how you're treated at work. The women in computer science are saying that they're being treated terribly by their men counterparts, and how their opinion isn't valued at work. More so women using technology in communication workforces, the UX designer, the web developer, coding in a more social space like that, they're saying that they enjoy work more.
Oh, I could definitely see that, especially because the difference between the more computer science based like majors, even in like college, and the more mass comm where it's still a STEM, like electronic media, DMI, that's digital media innovations, even digital media. Those are such different approaches to it.
Yes.
Especially because you are required to have a minor, and they do encourage you to do communications. So you can get those more interpersonal skills, and how to approach that bias is even kind of being ingrained into people. Like, stand up for yourself, stand up for your knowledge, but that also kind of feels wrong,
Yes, I think women are they're not used to challenging these men in the workplace that are saying, I don't value your opinion. I think women, especially ones that are not empowered with like communication studies and learning interpersonal communication about bias, ones that are mainly more focused on maybe a science track, I think they're kind of losing out on this perspective of how to communicate and advocate for themselves in the workforce.
Oh, definitely that. I think there's just like a lack of self. Like, you've got to work hard, and it's not there, but it is what you have to do pursuing such a biased type of like career track, you know?
Yes, and hopefully that can change for women of the future, but I definitely think Texas State has done a great job of preparing women, especially in their communication science programs. Texas State has done a great job preparing us to really advocate for ourselves in the workforce and what we're going to do and our value to organizations.
Oh, definitely. And I would dare to say, like, most of these students are women who want to go into these more STEM-based backgrounds.
It's so encouraging to walk into a classroom that you would expect to be male-dominated and see a bunch of friendly faces of fellow women that you've studied with all this time. It's truly refreshing.
Definitely a fresh breath of air compared to computer science, where they kind of gatekeep, and not a lot of women want to have that connection because they're working so hard to get to the top.
Yes.
They're working so hard to be not just like brushed off, and that's kind of a hard perspective to even take. And that's another reason I didn't do it, because I was like, I don't want to have to fight every assignment, every website, every design, and learn these cool things that I can learn in a more social area.
And those experiences don't stop either once you leave education. It only is the beginning, truly, because as a woman you're fighting to be heard while men are being promoted above you, even though their skills probably aren't as good or at least equal. It's not fair for women in computer science.
It's definitely not fair. It's not equally yoked, and I hope in the future it will be for like the next generation. Like Gen Alpha will have more chances and opportunities, but it's definitely really hard to do those things in today's like society.
Exactly.
Well, that was some great conversations we had today.
Yes, it certainly was. It was so nice to talk about these experiences.
Yeah, especially because I did a lot of research and interviewing people like in the classroom and more hands-on with these new skills and technologies, and you did a bunch of research. And
yes, I did a bunch of research about the personal experiences that women are living through working in STEM in these workplaces, about gender bias, gender gap, just their lived experiences at work.
And unfortunately, we kind of relate to that, and it kind of sucks going forward, but we also were able to open more of the eyes and perspectives.
Yes, I think the more that we have these conversations, the more the culture of women in technology, science, STEM careers will change as long as these conversations are being facilitated and had.
Definitely, I'd have to agree. I just think this needs to be a constant conversation. We need to never stop pointing out how this is unequal, and we need to step up, and we need to keep innovating. And women should have a place in that innovation.
Yes, exactly. If you would like to view some more resources, view our individual research into these topics, maybe some data visualization, infographics, please check out the links below. We would love for you to kind of explore that and start having these conversations in your own work environment and considering it in your day-to-day life. How am I treating the women in my life? Am I valuing their perspectives? Are they feeling heard by me? Just checking your own biases.
Oh, definitely. I think that's the biggest thing anybody should take away from today's discussion.
Yes.
Check your biases and keep your main brain open. Like, let's have these conversations.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.